I have some friends who ride bikes who used to ask us how we could do the same things over and over again. And even though we have got more adventurous in our riding and we ride in more different places and seek out new places to explore and off the beaten path stuff, it's true we still do go out and ride a lot of the same bike paths and same trails. Tonight was one of those nights. It had been raining all day, so we kind of tend to go for like a Kent loop, what we call a Kent loop when it's been raining, because we could take the Freedom Trail out from the bike shop, get something to eat and drink, and then take the hike and bike back. The reason that works for us when it's been raining is that the trails are paved. So we don't have to get soaking wet. You could throw on one of those clip-on rear fenders and usually stay dry enough. We actually did get some drizzle on this night, but nothing to end up getting us soaked through. So I had been thinking about that, and the thing is, no ride is ever the same no matter what, because the time of day changes, the time of year changes, the people you're riding with changes, which changes the conversation. Your mood changes, how fast you feel like riding changes. It's just everything is always different, even if it's just a little bit. I used to quit jobs that once I figured out everything about them, they became monotonous to me. And then when I worked on a farm, that kind of stopped happening. I worked there for a long time because it just felt like with the weather and all these outside factors, everything was always different. And that is kind of how the bike feels to me. One thing that I think is kind of ironic about the people who asked us this question is that they would go to the same mountain bike park almost every single day, East Rim. They would drive their cars there. They would ride the trails once or twice, depending on how they were feeling. And I used to think, how could you say what we do is boring when you go to literally the same place almost every day? But again, I think it's still part of that. It's a social activity. There's people who go to the same after work bar every day, and it's for that hanging out with friends, that camaraderie, that having someone to talk to, the social interaction. And now I realize that's what was going on with my friends. Yes, I think there were people who enjoyed mountain biking a lot and that, they were going to the best place to mountain bike that's not too far from here. But at the end of the day, they were having a beer together after in the parking lot and talking and telling stories. And I bet that was just as much of the appeal as the actual riding was. So yeah, on this night too, one of the things that set it apart is we were literally riding towards a rainbow. And behind us, with the way the season is, the sun for part of the time happened to be lining up directly down the path. It just made for this absolutely beautiful situation. Some of my favorite light as a photographer actually is when it's been a little rainy, so you have some gray sky, but the sun is illuminating something, whether it be the trees or the buildings in front of that gray sky. I just love that vibe and that look. It's just really, really cool. Fun to photograph. Of course, I wasn't really carrying a camera. I guess we're always all carrying a camera now because you have a cell phone in your pocket, but even to capture with the GoPro, I just thought it was coming out really, really beautiful. So this was a night where we were doing a ride that we have done however many times, I couldn't even imagine. But again, it was different on this night because of the way it looked, and I didn't even plan to make a video. I'd carried my GoPro, testing out the new GoPro Hero Black 11, but I didn't think there would be any content there. But I'm like, this is so pretty. I want to find a way to work this into something, even if it's just like a, Instagram reel or something like that. And then again, it was just the people who showed up to go on this ride, this group of friends, affects the dynamic and affects the conversation. Then we got out to Kent, we went to Erie Street Kitchen that had great food and, decided to get a drink that I wouldn't normally get and stuff like that, and just had a good time. Our buddy Mike met us out there, who's only moved back into town recently. So again, just another different experience. And then now with the season changing and taking the hike and bike home, which is this windy, curvy path, which is kind of unique for a bike path around here. At night with the headlights just totally changes the mood, as most of summer we've been in the light both ways. So yeah, I guess the whole point of this is that nothing is ever the same, and I think that is magnified in cycling. It just, your mood, the people you're with, the time of year, like I said, the time of day is always going to affect the ride and how the ride feels. And I think that's one thing that always keeps me coming back to the bike. Thanks for watching as always. Hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.